What's up YouTube? Zach's back with another attack, and today we're doing a special video talking about why these iPhones are the best phones and why these Samsung Android things suck. Now this is a special video, and I'm doing this earlier than I anticipated because my good friend Razer is wanting this video. And of course, he is supporting me over on Patreon. You can do that as well. Patreon.com/ZachToTheFuture. And because he is supporting me, I will gladly move this video up and get it done so that he can enjoy it. And hopefully you guys enjoy it too. But first, yo mama's so stupid, she went to the Apple store to get a Big Mac. Just kidding, I love you, mama.
If you like darkness and hanging with Heartless, then you are not Sora, but you may be looking for a channel to watch. Zach to the Future.
Alright YouTube, so like I said, today we're going through the benefits of iPhone versus Android and why Android kinda sucks. We did a video a while back about why Apple sucks and iPhones suck and why Android is the way to go, and now I'm doing the opposite, which is a little bit more aligned with my actual feelings and telling you why iPhones are way better. Now the main thing I gotta say is that, as you see, I do have some Android phones, I do have some iPhones, I've got more iPhones. I'm actually recording this on an iPhone right now, and I've had many more iPhones and Androids in the past, so you can't say I'm biased or I'm just a fanboy. These are honest to God my opinion, and it comes from a place of using these phones hardcore, putting them through their paces in my day-to-day life, and how they actually stand up to the test of time and the test of using your phone day to day. I think the number one thing that I have to say is that Apple iPhones were made by Apple. They were made for phones. Google does make the Pixel, so Android is a little bit better on the Pixel, but I don't think even they do a good job making the hardware match up with the software, which is Apple's specialty. The software of iOS is perfectly made to run on iPhones. They develop everything to make sure these are the fastest and best phones you can possibly use iOS on. Whereas Google makes Android, and then you get Samsung phones, you get LG phones, you get HTC phones. And that makes it hard for the phone manufacturers to keep up with all the little details of Android to make sure that it's perfectly optimized for that operating system. That's kind of the big one. I'm gonna go and do some more now, but I felt that it was kind of just a given. One feature that newer iPhones have that Android still don't have is 3D touch. Of course, it's a bit small and gimmicky at times, so I don't rank it super high on the list. This isn't one of the reasons why you're buying an iPhone. It's just one of the reasons why you love your iPhone. Essentially, when you have apps up, you can push down harder than just a tap on it, and it will bring up some options. If you're on the music app, it'll let you select certain playlists. If you're on the camera app, it'll let you go straight to video or picture mode. And just things like that that are really cool and make life just a little bit easier, make things go a little bit quicker. Likewise, iPhones have live photos. That's a really cool feature that I think some people actually do buy iPhones specifically for. When you take a picture, it actually takes a picture of a few seconds before and a few seconds after to essentially make a video where you can 3D touch on that picture and watch a clip of what was going on when you took that picture. That's really cool. It captures moments in life way better than any other phone. For example, I've used this when I'm taking pictures of my wife and I out at a date night or something on our anniversary, even at our wedding, and it takes a snapshot of the moment more than just a picture of whatever you're taking a picture of. I love being able to take a picture of my family, hold it down, and I can hear my family. I can see them moving around and making funny faces as they realize the picture was taken, or if they blinked, I can even move it forward a little bit and get to a picture where they didn't blink. And that's just incredible to me. I can only picture taking photos in live photo mode of my parents or something, and if anything ever happens to them, I can go back when I'm an old man and hear their voices with these live photos, and that's just awesome to me. And it doesn't take up nearly as much room as taking an actual video, plus you get the photo within it. So I love live photos. Another thing that I hated about Android, every one of these phones that I've used has had carrier apps. You buy it through AT&T, guess what? You're going to have AT&T app on here where you can do stuff. You buy this through Boost Mobile, I had a Boost Mobile app on it. My tablet is through Sprint and it's Android, and there is a Sprint app stuck on it. On these iPhones, guess what? If you want that Sprint app, you go onto the App Store and you download it. Otherwise, you don't need it. Likewise, there's so many things from Samsung that are stuck on these phones and not even able to be removed. On iOS 11, pretty much everything on iPhones is able to be removed, except for things that are absolutely necessary, such as the Settings app or something like that. And then if you end up needing it later, you can go into the App Store and re-download it. That way you don't have the Stocks app or the News app and you never use them. They just take up space on your phone. I think that's really, really cool and makes your phone way less bloated. Speaking of being bloated, that's another thing about Android that I hate and makes iPhone so much better. It's so consistent between all your phones. This phone I bought for about 50 bucks or something at a grocery store, and then these phones you got full price from a carrier, and this phone had a lot of bloatware. This phone had different bloatware, and this phone also had different bloatware, all from Samsung, things with the SmartWiz that I don't even want, I don't need, I never used, and they're just on here taking up space that you can't really get rid of. You can put like a new launcher, a new skin over SmartWiz, and yes, I was just calling that SmartWiz, I'm sorry, it's called TouchWiz, but either way, it doesn't matter, because you don't want it. I didn't know the name because I hate it. And if you want stock Android, you can get one of those launchers and put it on your Samsung phone, and you'll basically have stock Android, same as the Pixel 2. So I don't get people saying that they like that. I don't like that. I like the iPhone where it's consistent between every phone if I'm on the same operating system. If I'm on the same version of iOS, every single phone is going to be the same, whether or not it's a Plus phone, the SE, the normal sized phone, they're all exactly the same. Next up, I want to talk about updates a little bit. This phone is way behind, and then this phone, which is an S4, Galaxy S4, is way behind the Galaxy S5, and likewise the S5 is behind the S6, which is behind the S7, which is behind the S8. And of course, you'll kind of have that with every phone, but iPhones last a lot longer, their updates affect a lot more phones, and phones from many years ago can still be on the modern operating system that just came out. And if you have a Samsung phone, it's not going to be on the current version of Android, because then Samsung has to take current version of Android, apply all of their stuff to it, throw TouchWiz on top of it, and then put it out to everybody. They don't care. They don't care, and it doesn't matter because people are fine with their phones like they are, whereas you get new features more regularly with your iPhones. Apple has AppleCare, which I don't normally agree with. I think you can get better prices on going to third-party people and not paying initially to get that AppleCare. I will say that about Apple, but if you need anything, you can call Apple and they will help you. You can walk into an Apple store and they've got a Genius Bar where they will help you with whatever you need, whereas Samsung and Android, it's a lot harder to get help. You pretty much are left to Google everything for yourself and hope that you find what you need and they don't mess up your phone. especially because Android has a lot more viruses. If you have Android and Samsung, LG phones, you're more likely to get a virus, and there's more viruses that exist than for iPhones. They generally have better security measures, there's more encryption for everything you do, and all in all, it's a much safer phone to be using if you don't want a virus on your $1,000 phone, which who does? As far as the Apple ecosystem, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard many times before, it gets thrown out a lot, there is a real point to that. I mean, if you have an iPhone, it works flawlessly with a Apple computer. If you have a MacBook, if you have an iMac, it will just incredibly sync up. It will go hand in hand. Same with AirPods, they instantly link up to your iPhone. If you have an iPod, same thing. Then you've got CarPlay, your Apple Watch. I mean, it just all goes together so well that it becomes this whole ecosystem, if you will, and it makes it way better than anything Android has. The Chromebook sucks, so screw the Pixel 2 trying to compete with Apple's ecosystem. A lot of developers for apps will initially launch their apps on the iPhone, such as Instagram. There was a long time where Instagram was only available on the iPhone. Same with like HQ Trivia, which is a major thing right now. For a while there, you could only get it on phones with this little Apple logo on the back. And there's a great reason for that. Apps just work better on iPhones. They're more consistent. Not just anybody can get into the App Store. I have apps that have been on the Google Play Store because it's really easy to get on. You basically just say, hey, can you put this on there? And they'll do it. Apple, you need to have a developer's account, which costs $100 a year. You need to submit it, they check it out, make sure everything's good and it makes sense, it works with the phones well, and then they approve it or deny it, and there's no crap apps, essentially, on iPhones. You can get so many random apps on the Play Store where a lot of them will even contain viruses or just do weird stuff that doesn't make sense, doesn't do what it tells you in the description for the app, and I hate navigating the Play Store. The App Store is 10 times better. If you've ever used an iPhone, you know about AirDrop. A lot of people haven't used it, especially not to its fullest potential, but there is a ton of potential for it, especially if you have like a video career, you're doing something with videos on YouTube, and you need to edit those videos, get them to different devices. It's so easy to record something on your iPhone and AirDrop it to your iPad or your MacBook, and it goes very, very quickly, straight there. It doesn't use Bluetooth, and the file in full quality goes perfectly. The only way you can really do that with Android phones is with NFC chips, which don't work as well, or with Bluetooth, which really doesn't work as well and is so outdated with transferring files between devices that it's really not worth it. It's super slow, and AirDrop has much more potential and is much better working than any other method of file transfer between devices. And finally, the number one reason, and I'm sure almost everybody, I know many tech YouTubers will agree with me here, that the number one reason why iPhone is the best and these Android phones can go in the trash after this video is that iPhones have iMessage. Apple has a system where all the text you send to other iPhone users will be sent to the servers of Apple and will be saved. This isn't for tracking. Google uses stuff like that for machine learning. Apple just uses it so that it can go quicker and you don't need a phone number. You can just send it through the internet. If you stop paying for your phone service, you can then use the internet anywhere to send a message to another iPhone user using iMessage. You can also do cool effects like send the message with invisible ink where they gotta swipe over it to show it, or when it sends it'll have like fireworks or a shooting star or confetti or something, and that's really, really cool. You can do an effect where it slams down. There's just so many different ways to use iMessage that it's so awesome. And it's much quicker, more reliable. all your text sent in one block instead of sending in a bunch of random small texts. If it's a long message, which I know is one of my biggest gripes with Android, you gotta try and puzzle piece the messages back together. And if Apple didn't have iMessage, I guarantee they would lose a lot of people. It also syncs between your other Apple devices. You can get on your computer and see all of your iMessages, and it also allows you, if you want, you don't have to, a lot of people don't, but you can have it so that you can get read receipts where it says read instead of delivered, and then you know the person saw and read your text. It also shows bubbles when they're typing, which is really cool. It's very similar to like the Facebook Messenger app, which a lot of people use. It's one of the most downloaded apps in history, mostly because Facebook sucks and made you download that instead of just using the Facebook app, but that's a story for another time. We'll get into that someday, but for now, let me know what you think. Are you on Team Android? Boo! Or are you on Team Apple? Yeah, an apple a day keeps the crappy phones away. But anyways, guys, hit the subscribe button if you like what I do. I've been Zach. Don't you do crack, and I will catch you in the future.